Today we asked the question, is New World dead again? 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 All right, let's get started. All right, before we start diving into the numbers and my thoughts, I want to make this little disclaimer. First and foremost, we're going to get comments in the comment section down below, like always, saying New World's dead, stop playing it, why are you playing it, what are you doing, dead game, I hate you, dead game. Where the population has been dipping, I will say, and we will talk about this more in the video, is that New World is not dead. It's not dying. It is technically dying, but it's not dying in the sense that it's moving towards being a dead game. Anybody who thinks in the next 2-3 years that New World is just going to shut down, I may eat my words on this, but it's completely illogical. Now, New World has spent a ton of money, not only just producing the game, but improving it. You can see in their development cycle, they are not only just trying to make the game and give us better content, which we're going to get into a big content section here eventually, but they're working on improving the game from the base up. Now, part of this is their inexperience, part of this is they just had to rush, and part of it is they just didn't know what they were going to do with the game. But you can clearly see that they are making the game better from start to finish. They're trying to build a fantastic game. But all right, let's start diving into a little bit of the nitty gritty. So first, we're going to look at the Steam charts so you can see them here. All right, let's bring up the Steam charts. Why am I doing this? This is just going to show you or predict patterns. So last year, the game was probably at its deadest. Technically, it was early July. Early July, it was its worst. But for the whole month, it would be actually June. So you can see here, we had an average player of 13,600. And we only had a peak of 22,565, which isn't far off of where we were in March. In March, it was basically the equivalent of mid to late May versus June. So you can already see the player numbers were dropping. Now, we did get a little bit of a bump here with the season rewards in the last 30 days here in April, but players are now slowly starting to fade off it as well. Yesterday wasn't a bad day. We had 26,000 players online. Sunday is normally the best day, but you can still see here, we are 2,000 players short of where we were at the height of the month, which is, I believe, 2 weeks ago. So we are still on that downward trend. Now, what are the reasons for this? What is going on? Honestly, it's content. The biggest content patch we got was in October with Brimstone. We got fresh start servers in November. And then after that, we haven't gotten basically anything. You might say, well, we got a new expedition here at this last patch. But the problem with their expedition cycle is there's no, first off, chase things in there. There might be like a good thing for that dungeon, but they don't provide any chase items that you can't get elsewhere. Second, it's an expedition. Expeditions are, for the most part, good running once, twice, 3 times, and then you don't need to really run them again unless you're just enjoying it. Honestly, the new expedition, one of my favorite expeditions dungeons I've ever played. The music in this game is so top-notch, so much better than any game that I've ever played. The problem is there's no real reason to actually run it. So we don't. And it's technically content, but in all reality, it's not really content. So we have a little bit of a bump there with the season pass, new expedition, and then we're going to continue to go down. Now, we do have another pass coming out, or we do have another event coming out, which is the spring event, which is going to give us a few ways to get some BIS gear, but without actually giving us any more content. It's something that kind of rewards players if you want to just continue playing. But other than that, it doesn't really provide you anything. Gives you some content, I guess, a little bit, but it's just recycled old content that if you've played the game, it's not really that exciting. Now, we'll go here on the live server, and we can basically guess when our next patch is going to be that's going to give us any form of content, if it does. So if Season Pass ends in 63 days, 22 hours, we can see here that it is the date of recording this. It is the 24th of April. So we have at least 2 months, 3 days before we get nothing, or 4 days. So we're looking at the earliest is the 1st of July. Now, we can educatedly guess that as soon as this pass is done, they're not going to give us content the very next day. So we might look at a week, 2 weeks. We might be looking at mid to late July before we get the next patch. The reason why I bring this up is that is the first time we can possibly get new content, and it goes back to the Steam charts. You can see here that, like I said, we were basically in between May and June, June being the worst month we've ever had, and now we're kind of there. Now, we did get a little bit of a bump, bringing us sort of back into the May numbers. Almost, if you look really, really close, 16,028 peak. And then last year, May, 16,028 peak. So we're back up to the May month, 1 month away from what we consider to be the worst month of New World in its entire career. And we still have 2 to 2.5 months of time before we get real content. There could be another little bump when this next patch comes out. Very well could be. But it's not really going to be sustainable because it's not really content. So we have basically 2 months of decline. Now, we go back here and look at 23%, 17%, and we have been declining at a very fast pace over that. Even if we're looking at a 10% decline over the next 2 months, a 20% total, it's going to provide us being the worst month, well, in the game's history, which is bad. But before you get too off on a tangent and think the world is absolutely dying, have no fear. If you are a New World lover, the reason for this is just because we're waiting for content. People still very much love the game. When content comes out, people are still going to play the game. We are just waiting on New World to say, hey, here's our new content. They have 2 raids coming out. We have an expansion. We have a new weapon. All those things will bring people back as long as they're done semi-properly. They don't actually have to be 100% properly, but as long as it is in a decent state with decent things, people will come back. What I suggest, or what I hope / think will happen, is when we get the new expansion, if it's as big as they are saying it is, we will go over the 100,000 to probably 200,000 mark. Now, the one thing to note is that it does also depend on if they go back to like this November time right here, where we had fresh start servers. If they give us fresh start servers at the right around the same time as launch, which they didn't do last time, then it could also bring, I mean, we could blow the roof off it. We could have, we could have 200,000-300,000 players playing concurrently with a bunch of servers up. Now, again, the servers will die. They'll have to merge. They'll do all that stuff. We have, cross server stuff coming. So there's going to be a little bit easier on players when it comes to that. And they really do need to fix the fresh start servers when it comes to like property upgrades. It is absolutely brutal. So hopefully if they go ahead and do another set of fresh start servers, that they fix those. But if you are a New World lover, yes, the game is going to be in a pretty bad spot over the next month or two. Now, we do get the PTR patch probably in June-ish is when we will get the PTR patch. And that will start building hype. If it's actually a good patch, it'll start building hype for the next patch. People will start to come back, start to trickle back. So we might see a little increase in June. There's a possibility. But just note that we do have a couple bad months coming down the road. But if you are a New World lover, those things will change. Try not to make this video too bad, too long. But just know that if you love New World will be back and better than ever here towards the end of the year. Maybe even sometime here in the summer, we might get some content bumps. But for the next 2 months, there's going to be kind of a lull in players and a lull in content. And once we get past that part, we'll be just fine. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, like always. And if you are interested, we're going to be putting out a video too about probably one of my favorite MMOs I've ever played. So watch out for that on the docket. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe like always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.